Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We're going to have a look at the Desert Warrior in this video for the dev server. One of the things I do want to show though beforehand is with the updated models, there was a few that I missed. I thought that the Soviet autoloaders weren't in because I checked on the T-80, the main vehicle that people use, but it turns out they are in. On the T-98, as you can see here, it does have the autoloader setup, and also on the T-72s, the autoloader is there too. So just to kind of update that video, I'll probably talk about it in a future one too, but there you go. Pretty cool, right? Anyway, back to the Desert Warrior. What is this? Well, imagine you take a warrior and you upgrade it in pretty much every way and export it, or at least try to. This has a completely different turret to the previous warrior, which houses a different gun, different missiles, and also there are slight differences when it comes to its hull as well. The vehicle is powered by a 550 horsepower engine, which has a transmission, meaning that it can go very fast forward and also very fast backwards. It also has this composite armor plate in the front of it, so just take that into account when you're shooting it, when you are using autocannons, because this will probably actually stop quite a few autocannons. It also has this rolled homogeneous armor, which can set off rounds, which is usually not great, which is a bit of a problem. You can see on the X-ray view here that the vehicle actually has some pretty cool additions to it, which are not found in the game yet and are new this update, such as the driver controls. So if you knock out the driver controls, it knocks out the ability to move the vehicle, so you'll have to repair it beforehand. And then also the power system. If you take this out and it dies, you won't be able to use your FCS, your gun stabilizer, or your radar, which is pretty interesting. It also has this FCS part here, so if you knock this out, it'll knock out your fire control system. The vehicle, though, does have some upgrades over the Warrior, which is mainly the cannon, the 25mm M242, and also the BGM-71 tow launchers, which means that you can fire all the different types of TOW-2s that you would love. Now, the vehicle only has 3 crew, so if you penetrate its turret, it's probably going to die. You'll obviously also probably hit the ammo of this thing, and I don't know whether you'll be able to overpressure it through the launchers, but usually you're not able to, which is interesting. The gunner optics right now are 8 times, so they don't have any variable zoom. Instead, it's just boom, you're there. And also, just showing you the TOW-2s for the missiles. You start off with the TOW-2 standard, then you unlock the TOW-2A at rank 1, which is the tandem warhead TOW-2. And then at rank 4, you actually have the TOW-2B, which is the top-down attack TOW-2. So this is a similar setup you see on the M3A3 Bradley, which has access to these two too. Plus, you also have a rank 4 APFSDS, which pens 100mm for the 25mm. So useful against other light vehicles, but not very useful against MBTs unless you're on the side of them. The big upgrade, though, is it does get a stabilizer on the 25 and does have a better fire rate than the Raden, which is the previous Warrior. Just to kind of show you where it is in the tech tree, it is after the Striker and the Warrior. Shouldn't really be too surprising, that one. But if you are interested in it, this is what it is. And it's also a 10.0, so you can run it with the TTD and also the Challenger Mark II, which is pretty cool. You could have also run it with the DS, but they decided to up-BR it and give it a new round, which kind of sucks. But still, you have a solid lineup, which is a little bit more janky than the 10.3, but I'm sure you can run this at 10.3 too. There are some other features which are pretty cool on it. Right now, it doesn't have any thermals, but I'm pretty sure it'll have thermals, whether it's Gen 1 or Gen 2, and it does have the laser rangefinder as well. Don't think it's going to get the LWS, but the laser rangefinder works well with it and should work pretty good. So overall, what you're seeing from this vehicle is a pretty upgraded Warrior. And for me, one of the cool things about the Warrior is the fact that it usually has very good thermals and usually does a pretty good job at dealing with enemies with either its missiles or its gun. The Milan, I'm a huge fan of. I think it's really nice and really looking forward to it. You can see here even the amount of ammunition you can bring, though, is pretty limited. But once again, a lot of these vehicles aren't finished, and I'm pretty sure this one is that too. I don't think this vehicle is fully there yet, especially with the amount of stuff that it can carry. So laser rangefinder, obviously on the 25. If you haven't used this 25 before, it's very similar to other 25s that are in the game. Decent fire rate and also good punchy against lighter targets. The TOW2Bs themselves are 80 gems, which are wire guided, but you fire above the enemy and it fires downwards, which is really cool. That's why they don't actually have as much penetration. Now, one of the things though is that these are wire guided 80 gems. So if you run into IR CMs, or if you run into disruptors such as a Dazzler like the T90, your missile should kind of go all over the place if it was working properly. So just to let you know, it doesn't seem to be working right now. The other thing that this vehicle has though is a really fun transmission. So following forward, it can go up to 75 kilometers an hour, and since the gun is fully stabilized, you're able to hammer stuff going around, and you can also get out of dodge pretty well too, which is quite cool. And with the APF SDS, you'll be able to do pretty decent damage to a decent amount of vehicles, even some Soviet vehicles which have a little bit of additional stuff. But the fact that the transmission goes as fast forward as it does backwards is fantastic. I'd like a little bit more low-end acceleration, but it's fine. It also has some additional armor on the sides, which on the other Warrior I think you can actually take off. So I'm guessing you'll be able to on this, and it has this big chunk of armor on the front of it too. So what you're getting is something that's very good against other IFVs and isn't great against other MBTs. But against those MBTs, you'll be able to scout, you'll be able to tell your team where they are, and also with this gun, you'll be able to as well deal with air threats. It doesn't have a track IRST or anything like that, unlike a lot of the other 10-0s that exist. But as I said, this thing isn't actually finished yet. So until it's fully finished, we can't really work out all of the features it'll have access to. I'm just happy that this thing is in the game. As a person who's enjoyed, playing a lot of the light tanks in the British tech tree, whether it be the South African ones, or whether it be stuff like the VFM5 or the Vickers Mark 11 recently, I think it's really cool to get additional ones to be able to play with. And the Desert Warrior, at least in my opinion, was a pretty standard pick. It's one which I think a lot of people will enjoy, and won't cause as much controversy as many of the other weird and wonderful Warrior prototypes that were around. Hopefully in the future we can get more of these types of vehicles to support the MBTs and also have a dual threat, not just against lighter vehicles but also against stuff such as the planes which are flying around. And with a lot of nations getting some pretty cool stuff, I feel like there's no reason why Britain shouldn't get their 10-0 light tanks too. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.
I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.